Hey everybody, Jeff Lobb here. We are just logging in live from New Jersey and Minnesota. We've got people from Minnesota online today, Kris Lindahl. So SparkTank Media here in the house. We're launching Office Hours with Jeff. It's a show that we're trying to always push the edge with, trying to find people who are actually doing awesome things in our business. And I couldn't pick more awesome than who we have today. We've got Kris Lindahl of the Kris Lindahl Team from Minnesota. I got to say Minnesota a little bit better. Hey, what's up, Kris?
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, always. Like the stuff we're going to talk about today is awesome. We've got such a great buzz. And as people are logging in, just to give you guys a few seconds, we're leveraging Facebook live stream. Technology can do its thing. We're going to do our best. But understand this, as you post questions, Kris has the ability to see them as well. And so do I. And I can also put some of them up publicly on the screen too. So give you an example. I'm going to pop our names up here real quick. But as questions come in, ask away. We'll try and do our best to answer some of the stuff. We want to be here to really dive into what Kris has been doing from when he was a solo agent now into running a massive team. I got a boatload of questions. So welcome, everybody. Let's get started, man. You're in Minnesota. You born and raised there, Minnesota?
I was, yeah. Yep. So I went to Fridley, which is just north of Minneapolis and St. Paul. So I went to Fridley High School, graduated in 2000, and then went to college in Mankato. And I actually have 2 education degrees. And most people are like, honestly, I'll tell you, most people that have ever met me think that I have marketing degrees. I have education degrees. And that's sort of like the inspiration for when I started helping people and why I have so much passion for it, and now growing a team and helping my team members.
Yeah, because everything really that revolves around you with marketing and branding and everything else. That's the power of the stuff that you're bringing. So I actually had some Q&A stuff on some people that signed up in advance that really wanted to make sure they saw this or got the recording of this. I had asked them kind of like a loaded question, like, what are some of the challenges you face in your market or in your business? And everything seems to stem all around to, needing help taking that next step. What's the next level? So those of you, who don't know, I get to see Kris a lot at some of these conferences, and he's either on stage, on a panel, they're hanging on his words to, what are things he's doing to make this team grow to the size that he is, and how did he get there? And I'll tell you personally, one thing I've always noticed about Kris when I see him just in passing, out to dinner, connecting with other friends and colleagues, dude, you're never frazzled. Like you're always calm. And I'm thinking he's running such a massive operation. He's always calm. And I'm like, that leaves like 2 words in my mind. That's like awesome leadership and totally systems in place, like taking care of stuff. That's the way I see it, man. So kudos, because I don't know if I can keep that same level of calmness you do when you're out and away from the biz. So,
thank you.
Well, let's talk about that stuff. So let's go back to where you started, because not everyone here is at this level you're at. So let's go back a little bit. When did you start?
May 2009, probably the worst, one of the worst times ever.
I remember those years. Yeah, 9. So, I don't know if the market was up there by you, but.
Yeah, it was. So the thing about the market then is it was only short sales and foreclosures. So the REO agents and teams were doing really well, and short sales kind of became a thing. They didn't really take off right away. It was very new. There was a few niche people that had done short sales for a while. And I went to a seminar another real estate agent had on short sales. And when I left, really what the purpose of it was is he wanted people to refer him to short sales. When I left, I'm like, I can do this better. But I was only 6 months into real estate. And so I started creating landing pages. I had people working overseas. I was working overnight, like working on websites and WordPress sites. And I had no idea what I was doing. There was the language barrier, as you know, like it was just like, and that's what I did. I became the #1 short sale agent in the state of Minnesota, and I didn't have any experience doing short sales.
Sounds like there's a little bit of hustle in there too somewhere. There's a little.
For sure. Oh yeah. That's that competitive drive. You wake up in the morning and no one's got to tell you what to do. You just want to do it because you have that inner fire.
Right. So short sales was the game. Some markets still have the short sales. I know in New Jersey there's a whole bunch still going on, but
yeah,
beyond that. So how many years did you run solo as a solo agent? And what kind of marketing were you doing then besides landing pages and stuff like that?
Yeah, right. So I was an individual agent from May 2009 and started the Kris Lindahl Team in January of 2015. So 6 years as a solo agent. And honestly, my previous brokerage, Great local brand, the best local brand for a brokerage. I had a phenomenal time there, met a lot of great people. It was just time for me to move on because they weren't real, at the time, they weren't real friendly with team splits.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to grow a team under their structure. And so I needed to make a change. And it was my own, the problem is we tell ourselves these like limited beliefs. And like, it was my own limited belief that I was at the best brand and that was helping me with the success that I had.
Right.
And so we grew really fast after January 2015 with our team. But the reason is because we should have been a team 3 years before. And so it looks like it was like overnight success in the team. And it was a big mistake on my part. Like I should have left and created a team because we had enough opportunities to start way before we did.
So one of the questions we get asked all the time is, so what's that, what made you get to that next step? So when did you realize you had to have a team? Was there just teams were attractive to you, or did you realize like I'm getting buried in stuff, I got to figure it out?
Yeah, I think the consistent message for most teams is it's more than they can handle. That's always, whether it's lead, whether it's follow up, whether it's paperwork, whatever it may be, it's too much. And so, there was obvious signs of that. I was working around the clock, and I'm sure some people that are tuning in or tune in later can relate to that. Like it's just a nonstop, and the demands of the consumer have changed with technology, with social media, with smartphones, with all of these different technologies. There's no off switch. And so you have to get people around you that are better at a lot of these things than you are. Like, every once in a while I have someone still contacts me directly to my cell phone, and I explain like, there's a lot of things that I'm not good at that people on my team are way better at. And there's certain aspects of our business where you don't want Kris Lindahl to be the person doing that. Like you want me in charge. It's the truth. Like you want Kris Lindahl at 30,000 feet in charge of all the marketing in the company for our clients. And that's where you want me. You don't want me in every single appointment trying to do the follow-up because I'm not the greatest at it.
Do you know how hard what you just said is for 95% of the top producers of this industry to let go of? Is the control.
I know, it's the control. It's the control. When I got away from actually meeting with clients, it took me 4 times to do that. I would stop, then we would lose opportunities, then I'd go back in because I felt like we need the opportunities, then I would do it again and back and forth over and over again. And finally I came to a point where I might lose some opportunities, and I have to be okay with that because that's what's going to get us to the next level. And that's what I did. We lost a lot of opportunities. And then what happened was we went to the next level the minute that I gave up that control. And I think one of the big things, and this is where like the ego comes into this whole like real estate and any entrepreneur game, is like you have to submit. Like you have to submit to certain things and aspects of your company to grow. And so am I one of the better people in the industry at being in a listing appointment? Maybe, maybe not. But that's not the best use of my time in my company. Like my job is to grow the opportunities for our agents and to net the most amount of money for our clients and find opportunities for our buyers that they can't find anywhere else. That's what I need to do. I don't necessarily need to be in every single appointment. I can still run at a high level. And the thing is, and you mentioned like leadership earlier, when you have the right leadership and you invest in your people and you invest in leaders and where everyone on your team becomes a leader, that spreads in the community. And, as you know, like in companies, you can always tell where there's good leadership because you can feel it at every level.
That's right. Yeah, and I think the hardest part is, you said it, it's hard for everybody, even including ourselves here and smaller companies like this, is if I'm going to hire someone smarter than me in a particular area, it's the best use. It's the best thing to do. But that fear of they're smarter than me, is that a problem? But you've got to raise above that and just understand that you're the rainmaker. Go make rain. And the rest
So here's what I found is like you have certain personalities and mindsets that move faster than others. And so when your brain moves at a really high level and fast, what happens is you will have a task that's on your plate that you want to delegate, but then you tell yourself, well, by the time I explain it, I can just do it. And so the next thing you know, you're just the just do it person, just do it until everything's stacked up because you know that you can do it faster than someone else. And so you really got to get comfortable with that, with delegating those things.
That's right. So how sophisticated were you with systems when you were a solo agent? I mean, did you really have anything in place at that point before you branched into team?
What's that?
I'm sorry, I broke up. I saw a little breakup here. So how sophisticated were you with systems as a solo agent before you went to teams? Like what kind of?
Yeah. So can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the systems were always a really big thing for me. And I learned early on, and where I first started, a lot of it was outsourced. And so I would outsource help in systems just because of the place I was in my business. I couldn't afford to have US-based contractors or employees. And so I started with a lot of outsourcing and creating those systems. And I think the number one thing that I always thought in my mind from day one is that I want to have a business that runs whether Kris is here or not. And I've told myself that from day one. It's like so many people they get so engulfed in their business that if they leave for 3 days, the whole thing collapses. Or if they try to go on vacation, they're literally on their cell phone nonstop, trying to put deals together. They're on their phone with an app, trying to sign electronic documents. It's like complete chaos. And in this world, like there's so much pressure on everyone with technology that like, if you don't get some sort of balance and some sort of break, at some point you're going to break.
Absolutely. And in one of our last calls, we had, I think it was Vita Williams on, we were talking about burnout. How many times do you burn out in your career? That was part of the problem. And, you're either going to hit that burnout and either get through it or you're going to try and avoid it, which is what you're trying to do. So talking about the outsourced stuff, like what kind of stuff were you outsourcing? For those that are newer agents, maybe was it marketing? Was it design stuff, or do you recall?
Yeah, it was everything. So the actual marketing and concept of the ideas and what made people respond and those kind of things, that was all done by me. But the actual completing the work, the design work and landing pages and WordPress sites and all that stuff, that was all outsourced. So that was stuff that like at a high level, I sort of had a direction and a vision on where I wanted it to go and what I thought would make consumers respond and what kind of things I thought where my clients would make more money if we did certain things. And so I focused on the high level sort of 30,000 foot view. And then I had people underneath in all these different countries that would help complete those things. And so really, it's really where you start to get into leverage in businesses. Like I would come up with the ideas and most of those people log in around midnight, 1, 2 in the morning on Central Time. And I would get everyone started and I'd wake up at 7, 8 in the morning and I'd have websites and everything up and running. And so that's, and that's sort of like what happens within a team is like, the same thing, like you bring on these really talented people, like the people on my team, like most of the credit of what's happening right now is not me. I mean, I have amazing individuals around me and we attract really highly talented people. And so, but when you have those people, they carry the Kris Lindahl Team message. Like they're the ones that are responding to the consumer, that are giving them that amazing service. Are we creating opportunities? Did we develop a system that gets clients way more money on their home sale? Yes. But the agents in our team who are amazing leaders are the ones that are out there with the clients. And you had mentioned like leadership and stuff like that. Like there are very few people in the real estate industry that spend as much money as I do on personal development. Like there's two things I believe. One is the two things that people can't take from you is one, they can't take your brand. They can't take your brand no matter what happens. They can't take your brand. And two, they can't take you. And so if you invest in yourself and you have a personal brand that everyone knows, those two things, whether it's Zillow Instant Offers, whether it's Amazon, who's going to be a real estate company, those two things can't go away. The minute you become a business that's dependent on leads, whether it be Commissions Inc., Boomtown, Zillow, whatever it may be, you don't really have a business. You're dependent on a third party that, oh, by the way, they're going to release more impressions or they're going to open up 10 more platforms in your market. That doesn't mean much of anything. But when you have that personal brand and that personal development, and so to your point earlier, Jeff, the reason I'm never frazzled or never rocked is because I've taken the time to invest in myself. And so and then I think that's the biggest mistake in real estate. We meet a lot of people at a lot of these conferences. You can tell the people that are going places right now because of the way that they handle themselves and the composure. When you take that step to get really vulnerable with everyone around you and say like, hey, I don't have it figured out. I make mistakes every day, but I'm going to continue to invest in myself to get better. I'm telling you right now, no one can stop you.
It's golden advice. I'm telling you, if you're not listening to the words right now, especially if you're a solo agent, not saying you have to be a team, should be a team, but if you want to do more production, you can only scale yourself so much in one day. Here's a good question I want to populate for you. I'm going to push it up there from Caesar. It's very relevant to what you were just talking about. He's like, hey, Kris, are you personally training your agents on the systems or do you have someone else do it?
So a combination of training. So I don't do a lot of the training anymore. We have a couple people on our team that do a lot of the training. We just made a shift like 3 weeks ago where we're just going to start flying in the top coaches in the country, not necessarily real estate specific, but personal development. So our training is getting less and less about real estate and more about personal development. So we actually have one set up for next Tuesday, and then we have another local, probably the biggest personal development guy local in Minnesota, who's coming out in 2 weeks. And we're just going to continue to bring personal development coaches in, and they're really expensive. But I believe that, like, what I've done is I've invested in myself like this. And one thing that came to my mind like 3 months ago, we had some shifts that happened in our company that were for the best, actually, is I started to realize that I'm telling you guys, and I'm telling Jeff right now, how amazing investing in personal development has been for me. But I wasn't doing that for our agents. We were doing, at the surface level, we were investing in personal development. We were going to some workshops and seminars around the country together, but we weren't flying in personal development coaches just to meet with our small team. And now that's the next step we're taking, because I don't think very many people on our team need much real estate knowledge. Like, we don't need marketing. We don't need branding anymore. We just need to become better leaders, including myself. And so we're just going to continue to invest in that. And I think what starts to happen is now we're starting to attract the most talented real estate agents in Minnesota to be a part of that, because brokerages can't provide that. I mean, as you know, Jeff, I mean, of working with brokerages, most of the brokerages decided that the best thing to add to the agents was all the commission. Well, they've added all the commission, and now they can't provide any other value. You have all the commission, but if you have in yourself, you don't really have anything. And so we've just made a commitment that we're going to just, as leaders, and I think once you make that shift and you really get confident about it, I think it will change your whole world. And the one thing that's important for me is it's important for everyone on our team to have a personal life too, and to try to have some balance. Working on personal, it impacts in your life in a positive way.
Yeah, I mean, you spend a lot of your time, from what I see, wife, daughter. How old's your daughter, by the way? She's cute.
She is going to be 8 in September.
A picture of you and her at school.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's and those are really important things to me. I mean, and to do, and I think, and I'll be honest, like, I'm just about as I'm as guilty as everyone else, especially someone that has a competitive mindset like I do. It's hard to have balance. I mean, more email, it's one more deal, and it's on and on and on and on, and it never stops. And when you get so competitive, you get so wrapped up in the business, you can't get out of it. The phone rings, you're like, oh, sorry, I got to be right back, or I got to do one more email or one more phone call. And I was just having a conversation yesterday, and I've watched that person over the last 6 months as we've worked on this to set those boundaries. Business, nothing's changed. They haven't lost one client by setting boundaries. Amazing. So that power and give people, because if you don't, they'll run all over you.
Right. And I think it's a matter of setting the right expectations too. I mean, you can't just ignore them after hours. You have to set the expectations up front. I mean, I imagine you guys teach that, right?
You have to. Like, as you set the expectations and then you don't respond, and for 2 days or a day, or it's over, they're pissed. But if at day one, when you meet with them, you say, hey, I only work till 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, whatever your schedule is. If you say that up front, you'll never have a problem. It's the surprises. No one wants to be surprised. And everyone's always, spun out of control when they're in a real estate transaction, because it's one of the most stressful things you do. And so when someone is where they need an answer right now, they need an answer right now, and they don't even know why they need it. It could be 8 o'clock at night. Nothing's going to get settled. But since you're not answering the phone, they start calling and calling. And I think just setting those expectations, not only in your calendar, but everything in your clients, is no one wants to be up front. They're not going to have a problem with it. And most people.
Yeah. I mean, some of the PR stuff I saw you push out, I mean, it says literally your team and yourself are selling on average one home every 9 hours, or basically 2 homes a day, the equivalent of more than 2 homes a day.
Right.
That sounds insane to most.
Yeah.
How many people are we talking about putting this process together?
Yeah. So last year, and this is, and there's no right or wrong way, and there's your way. Whatever is the leader, whatever way you want is the way that you can do it. Like, I'm proud of our per agent production last year was 42 an agent. So, which is unheard of. Most companies, brokers, I think the average is maybe 4 to 9 a year. And so we're
productivity PPP is 40 per agent.
Over 40. Yep. Yeah. So don't want this team that has 150 agents where everyone's doing one transaction and they say they're one of the top teams in the world. The rankings mean nothing to me. What rock stars that can like them in the community to do.
Yeah. I'm losing you a little bit. I don't know if it's breaking up on your side. Make sure you're good. You can still hear me okay, Kris? We'll break up. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure my signal clears up a second. So, all right. Some of the marketing ideas that you guys come up with are fantastic. I mean, last I saw, just from what I've seen, I'm sure there's more beyond this. I see the picture of the billboard. You're doing the whole, it looks like you're taking over the whole highway, which is pretty awesome. It's a very bold move. The Minnesota Wild. Let's talk about some of the things you're doing, and then dive a little deeper and tell me, what are you expecting out of it? What's been working? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. So the billboards are, the billboards are almost like direct mail in a way. Like you really, if you don't have a phone number, a trackable phone number on the direct mail, you're not sure people are really calling on that. The odds of someone pulling over on the side of the road and dialing the phone is slim to none. But it's one piece of the pie. And for us, it was the last piece of the pie. It was social, it was SEO, it was all the other lead platforms. It's the Facebook, it's everything else, direct mail. It's the book that we just wrote. All of these things that we do are all pieces of the pie. And I think the big thing is like, what I see now is obviously, and you see this all the time, it's like you get copycats within the industry. And so we have other agents that have now started to do billboards in our area, but they don't have the other 10 pieces of the pie. And so if they don't have the other 10 pieces of the pie, if they don't have any brand recognition, no one's going to know. Each one of them is just a little piece of the pie in the transaction and in your business. And I think, what happens is that you have more brand recognition for buyers that want to buy your listings, agents in the industry that have more trust that your agents are going to get the transaction done. You become a more reputable name. And when you do all these things, it just makes the business better for everyone. And so billboards are one of Minnesota Wild. Obviously, the hockey team is a very reputable brand here, one of the best. We're the state of hockey. And the Minnesota Wild was, no one had ever thought creatively of how to create a real estate partnership with the Minnesota Wild. And it took a long time to put together, but it's a long-term contract, and it's definitely helped them. We've on some strategic partnerships from people that we've connected with too. So it's been a really win-win relationship for sure. And then we've got, we've TV and our clients, for especially our sellers, is we're driving all to our flagship KrisLindahl.com website. So we have all of this traffic going there from all of these different marketing sources. So our benefiting from all of this additional traffic, and they're seeing our coming soons, and they're seeing our manual landing pages, and they're seeing all this, and our impressions are way up on our listings. And that's partly why, another real proud stat that we have is like we're netting almost 4% more than the It's because we're driving all of this traffic to KrisLindahl.com.
I'm here tonight. One of the how successful is marketing?
What's that?
How successful is your coming soon marketing?
So there's two different, right? This is a huge debate in real estate today. Like, it's like, do we wait to go on the MLS and get all of the exposure from the MLS? And there's right and wrong to both. And I don't know that you can really answer the question accurately, because I've seen both sides work. Or you can have coming soon and you can sell the house before it goes on the MLS. The buyer has to give the seller exactly the terms they want, or they'll just go on the MLS.
Right.
And then I've seen times where we should have taken soon, and then it. So, like, is the coming soon your seller the best level of? No. Traditional real estate agents said about the coming soon, and they're up. Maybe a house sold or it went on the market. The clients aren't. The clients are getting way more money for their house than they ever expected. And I think sometimes as real estate agents, we have to remind ourselves that what the best interest of our client, not other real estate agents. If it was other real estate agents, we would just let every other real estate agent come and say, hey, you can sell this one right now. But it's not. It's in the best. And I think a lot of times, and forget, we're really committed to what's in the best. And sometimes that's not always a popular thing within our local industry.
Right.
But our and
yeah, I've had a lot of people that we work with and coach have very good success with the coming soons if there was real big demand for listings, like in demand. And secondly, if their clients wanted, that if they're willing to give it a 3 or 4 day window to really capture and get the buzz going before it hit the market. So you got to preface it right, but it's really a great.
You do, and I think the other thing with the coming soon is I think of a big brand. Like we have one of the biggest real estate brands here, so we have all of these people that are going to KrisLindahl.com to see the coming soons. So we're doing a lot of traffic there. If you're selling 4 houses a year and you put a coming soon on a find in Google or anywhere, I don't know that it's going to be very effective.
Right. Yeah. It depends on which platform you're using and your market. I think it really depicts your market too. What the demand.
Yeah, it is market specific.
Cool. So let's go outside the box a second. What about follow-up? I see a lot of people with follow-up as an issue. Is it your direct agents following up, or do you have a system following up? Getting that quick response. How do you handle that?
Yeah, it's a big one because as you know, you coach a lot of people. When you have successful salespeople, they're usually pretty terrible at follow-up. I mean, that's usually what it is. They're really good at selling and meeting clients, and they connect really well with people. But the minute you say follow up, they like freak out and like follow up. And we now have systems in place where we're tracking in our CRM, like our stats in real time. So we get a high level report every day. So we know what the follow up looks like. And we also have some things that are built out that if the follow up doesn't happen by the agent, it automatically sends out follow up. So we know that you can follow up with clients, but if you're in an appointment or you're in a lot of appointments, in our case, most of the agents in our team are really busy. It just gets overlooked because you're out working with clients. And so that follow-up is really important. And as you know, in any industry, point of any company is communication.
That's right.
It's like communication from my rep, from my consultant, from my advisor. It's the number one complaint that and we never have it fixed. We commit to always getting better. Oh, yes, we do. We run a really large operation. We're not perfect, but we're continuing to get better. And our agents are getting a lot better too. The demand for our brand, especially with where we're at, is that we have to follow up. And we to get better, having systems in place so that we know, like, okay, so-and-so hasn't logged in 3 days, hasn't sent any emails, any calls. Like, we better check and see what's going on with that person.
Yeah, totally. Are you able to share any systems, or we don't want to mention any names and all the stuff you're using?
I will. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. So I use Follow Up Boss. We have Salesforce for more of like the tracking behind the seat licenses for all of our agents. It was too complicated. Follow Up Boss, really simple. We use in a really high level way. The face is most business in this world was created on face-to-face in that relationship. I mean, you look at anything that's happened in the last 150 years, and then this text, Facebook messengers and Snapchats and all this stuff, it's taken that face-to-face element out of it. Whereas BombBomb Video, it gives you that face-to-face again. And that's like us right now on this live stream. If we were on a webinar like last year, like where things were different, you don't get the same feeling as seeing Jeff smiling all the time and me bouncing all over the place. It's a different feeling you get when it's face-to-face. So BombBomb's another really critical piece. And a lot of the other stuff, I have an agency that handles, I'm last few months to just delegate more of the marketing so that I could focus more on the business. We have MediaBridge Advertising. They're a local company. They've grown some real companies. So they handle all of our mass media now, which that used to be all done by me. And they're doing a phenomenal job. And if anyone tune in for our market, you'll start to see a complete change in like our brand and the things that we're doing. It's going to be really, really have a PR agency. We have a PR agency that's focused on the events that we're doing, and we're doing some really big things. And one of the Kris Lindahl Team is like, one is to be generous, and like we're really generous and we give back and almost to a fault, because every day we get 5 to 10 emails from charities that want help, and We've got one right now where they're really trying to track me down. They've been on my cell phone, my Facebook, they've been on Snapchat, they're everywhere. So, but we want the community because that's what's really important. Like that makes just a huge difference for the way that I feel and the way that the rest of the team feels. We want to get behind the people that support us. And I think, traditional real estate agent really hasn't been like that. Like, I mean, it's real estate agent that doesn't drives a fancy car, things that we want to do. Like, I would rather make significantly less money because I'm not driven by money. I'm driven by helping people and giving back. And that's sort of why I wanted to get into teaching and so now we have all these agents on our team and we have these clients that support us. And all we want to do is just give back and make a difference. And that's where you get serious growth in your company because you're real and you're like in our other big core values, be authentic. Like the way that I am right now, Jeff, is the way that we are every single time we see each other. I don't the same person every single time.
That's right.
And I think you are the same, like everywhere. You don't show up as like this produced figure or you change. All of a sudden you're in a phone booth and you throw a cape on. I mean, like those kind of things you need to be at all times. And especially, in your community, not only our clients depend on you, your agents, but everyone in the community is in the decisions. And if you don't waver, like you're confident and you have the right foundation, and support you because they know that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. I try and, there's only one time I might actually have to flip a switch, and that might be just an energy level switch. That might be all it is. There's times where, I speak the same way no matter where I am for the most part.
Yeah,
so,
right. You do. No, you're the same way. Exactly. You're the same way.
I might just flip a switch for some energy at a certain time of day or on stage or whatever it might be, but that's all that's going to happen for the most part is you see through most of this crap most of the time. So we know who's real out there. We also know who's taken through it too. So, all right. So,
people know, right? People.
There's questions coming in. We had a little bit of breakup on some of the stuff. Hopefully, the recording is going to be a little bit better. If there was one or two things you could give advice to someone that doesn't have the power you have, let's put yourself back. You're in today's world. Put yourself back. You're a solo agent right now. What are the 2 or 3 things they should be doing now to get to that next level? How do they get there? Because they can't break through.
Yep. So I think really what's really important is really build that personal brand and dive deep to figure out what you stand for. You need to build a brand, or you need to create something where your vision and what you believe in. Because once you're clear on that, everyone around you feeling of where you're going. I'm in the office, like everyone knows exactly how I feel and where I'm going. Like there's a very, very clear direction on what's happening. And I think that's the biggest mistake most make is like, and this is what happens is like people create teams. They're just going to buy leads and create a team. Like that's not it at all. Like you have to know exactly what you stand for. And you have to have a ton of supporters out there that are not in the industry, get behind you in a big way that say, oh, you've got to use Kris. Like he did an amazing job for me. His team's amazing. They're doing this. They're doing community events, all that stuff. And now we have tens of things behind us in a big way and support us. And that starts by creating and you believing in who you are and where you're going. The biggest thing, and I've said this from day one, and I watch these teams come and go, you don't start a team to support it. And also you have to be a strong leader, because if you're just starting a team and you're promising really high splits and you're promising, or I have some leads, that is such a shallow way to run a team. And when a market turns, which our market's turning right now, when a market turns, because the thing that's sustainable in a downturn is a brand. Thrives opportunities, but and I think teams and we don't have the personal brand and we're attracted to maybe the splits are better or the leads. And I think that, you'll find some of you that are tuning in, watch the teams that operate that way. They don't last. They don't last. And what you'll start to see, you'll see really big turnover. That are complaining because they're not getting opportunities. And the other thing, what I've found is that like when you teams where the splits are really high and they promise leads, you are now in charge of your own marketing. You're in charge of your own follow-up because resources left to handle transaction coordinators, to handle marketing, to handle listing coordinators, to handle admin, to handle office space. And so you get into this situation where on the initial front side of it, it's really attractive because the split's better. But long term, you're going, yeah, I don't know if that was a great idea because they're not providing anything. And it's sort of brokerages are having now by giving all the commissions away. And so if you're thinking about growing a team, really think long term, not if it was splits and leads. That's not sustainable. And in a lot of markets, we're a lot closer to a shift than we are away.
Yeah, I mean it's great advice. The one thing when it comes to you and your self-educating and investing in yourself too, you've spent a lot of time connecting at big conferences, meeting other people outside your sphere, outside your core. And I think you've built a reputation so beyond your market that you could pretty much pick up the phone in almost any state, ask someone for advice or help and get it without even anyone asking a second question. You've got that kind of true relationship.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It's huge to have that.
It is. And I don't take 100% credit for everything today. I mean, success leaves a lot of clue or out of the industry. I've got some really all over the country that I can know if there's some marketing ideas I want to run by them. And I think what's happening is that the top teams around the country are all starting to mastermind together.
That's smart.
And so because in our cities in Minnesota is doing, and so like we're really kind of writing the book in Minnesota's done in this generation. And with the technology and the influence that we have, so talking to people in other parts of the country that are doing stuff that's similar, it's good to hear from people that are going through the same struggles and challenges that you are, because as you know, like I'm not the most popular with everyone in my market right now when we're changing the way that things are done. Yeah. So people don't like change. They want the industry to stay the same, where it's throw a sign in the yard, put it in the MLS and do an open house and sell it. And when you sell it, another agent's the one that sold it from the MLS. That was the biggest racket of all time. That's gone. There's no longer here. Like you actually have to provide value in marketing and for your clients, or another company will.
Absolutely. And it's happening fast too, man. There are stuff coming down the pipe that's, being tested in beta, and some are going to stick and some aren't, but it's changing either way. So, all right.
It's changing, and I'm confident, like, as this industry changes, that individual agents are going to have a real tough time at some point if they don't start to invest in some sort of brand, because as these different companies and different things that roll out, like, I just keep thinking, like, what if an Uber came into real estate? Is it Facebook? Is it Google? Is it Amazon? Is it Zillow? Is it Redfin? All these different companies, what would that look like for the agent that sells 10 houses a year or 15 houses a year? And they're just relying on their friends and family. Relying on friends and family is not a predictable business. And so when you have a brand, we'll just adapt with whatever change. If the market changes, we'll adapt. We have a brand. And my goal is to have the biggest brand in the Twin Cities and in Minnesota, that whatever changes happen, I'm always looking every day. I read and I research every other industry around, like what's changing, what's happening, what's in the pipeline. And that's part of the value of having other agents and teams that we're connected around the country. We're on the front end of all the different changes and all the different technology so that the Kris Lindahl team stays ahead of.
So just for fun, because you made me think of it as you're speaking.
Yeah.
If you had to pick one large company, one large brand that's not in the real estate space now, who's coming into it? And I'll share my opinion with you too.
Who's coming into actual real estate?
Large brand, not in real estate. Who's coming in? Pick one that you think is coming into real estate.
Not in real estate, you think it's going to come into real estate?
Yeah. So I'll give you my.
You cut out there.
I know you're cutting off too. I think the Facebook signal. So here's what I think. My own personal opinion. Have you ever been on Facebook's marketplace where you can shop in locally? Okay. I am now addicted to that platform. I'm shopping. It's insane. However, there's nothing I can't see happening where in the next year or so, there's now the Facebook real estate marketplace and people are pumping homes through the FISBO world galore. They haven't said it. I don't think I've heard any announcements. That would be my prediction of who would come into that space and what channel it would come into. You have any thoughts of anybody?
I mean, exactly makes a lot of sense for a Facebook to do that. And we talk about this with our team all the time. And I think this is where you got to really what you're doing in your business, whether you're an individual agent or a team, or you're just starting a team, or do you have to support enough agents to compete against a Facebook in your market? And we're at the point now where I'm confident that Facebook, we could in Minnesota for, would we be as powerful? Do we have as many resources? No. But I think just as many people know that we sell real estate in our market, and that's been the goal 6 years, is to continue to invest in Kris Lindahl so that people think of us. And as you know, to get a lot of success, getting so clients, people want to get behind that. They don't necessarily want to just upload a property on a Facebook that is amounts to money. And I worry for the agents that are, and the teams that are just dependent on these leads right now. I've seen too many industries where one change platform that can provide you leads where you still get an ROI.
Yeah. All right. So last question to you, and I know we got a time purpose. We're going to lose some people here too for their commitments of time. But you say you got vision. I'm sure you have painted a beautiful one. Where's the Kris Lindahl team 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Where do you want to be?
Yeah. So what's interesting about the way that we're structured, no market now. We have so much momentum now that even that are close to our size in production, who have way more, they don't have the marketing dollars that we have because of the way that we've structured our company. The agents on our team have way more opportunities than the state has because resources we've invested in. We're going to continue to grow, and I think you're going to see some pretty rapid growth because of, I'll say it again, my mistake of not having a team earlier on. Like, we're still growing last year we did almost 700. This year we'll be over 1,000 transactions, and we're just getting started. Like, I truly believe that we're just getting started, and expect cities, there's a lot more market. And I think if you asked anyone outside the industry in Minnesota who state, they're going to say our team. Awesome. We continue the goal. Like, we're not taking our foot off the accelerator and thinking outside the box and doing what's best for our clients. And we're also, the agents that we're bringing on our team are now, we had a few agents early on, and to be honest, I didn't fully know what I was doing, but now I'm very clear on our mission statement and really the type of personalities that we want. And so now we're really talented people, and we have really talented people on our team. We've had some people leave our team, some great friends. I wish them all the best. But it's been the key for us. What we get is to want to be there at a really high level and understand to make $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 with no expenses. Last year, over half our team, $200,000, and they didn't have any expenses.
Some big numbers. Think about that. I mean,
one of the people that we that have decided to leave have never really been on their own, so they don't know what it's really like to build the website.
Right.
Sites to stay up. When you have 2 months with no closings, like, what's going to happen? Well, sometimes they have to go through. There's a few of them who are dear friends that we would take back. And there's a few that we won't, but there's a few that we would if it doesn't work out. And we watch what's going on, and we know that, it's too early to tell because we haven't had much turnover, but it's too early to tell if it'll be successful as a team. I'd be willing to bet no. We've invested millions and millions of dollars in our brand, and to go and essentially be a startup, and to start to define yourself overnight, that's not easy. Like, we had a little bit of luck on our side where the market was going when we did it, and we've continued to invest, and it's going to be hard to stop us at this point.
It is. Plus, just think about the marketing dollars, man. The system's already in place. It could take you months and months and months just to figure out how to get your own systems in place. Never mind the marketing dollars. So,
yeah, right. When you start to get in your company or your team or whatever, the thing is I know that we have families and so many agents on this team that are counting on our team. He has a family, has a spouse, important to me. Like, I don't take that for, there's a lot of people that are depending on Kris Lindahl and our team to raise a family, to make sure that you're making the right decisions in the organization so that they can have the life that they want to have. Too often, people are based about the team leader, like, oh, flips if I make a little, instead of in company so that they can invest back in their family, because they have a likelihood that they're going to leave is very unlikely. Why would you leave something worth significantly in you, in your family? And I think too often people that leave that side of it through and they look better on the other side. The other thing that you know this well is, like, as the industry is changing here, like, whatever that is, if it's a brokerage, if it's a team, if it's an agent, if it's a partner, having some sort of brand is going to be repoint. You're not going to be able to just be a brand new agent out as a family are going to use you. They're going to want to vet you, whether it be the Facebook reviews and sales, whether it be Yelp, whatever it may be, based site rolled out for the Facebook pages. They want to vet you and make sure that you actually have experience and you can sell your home. Space is getting more competitive when it comes to marketing, to advertising. Everything is becoming, consumer is way more educated than they ever have. And what they want, the level of service that they want, is high providing.
That's great. So, listen, first of all, I'm going to see you probably in Inman in a couple weeks. Will you be there? All right, awesome.
Yep.
So, hopefully you guys got some awesome tips. If there was some breakup in the conversation, Facebook has its issues with some of the live stream. I apologize, but I want to personally just thank you for sharing some awesome tips and honestly the reality of just really what has to happen. So big thank you for you to join the show. I got to wrap up the show. Some feedback I'm getting here.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate your friendship and everything and invite me on there. And I appreciate everyone that tuned in and logged in the questions. And if there's anything that you need after the fact, questions that weren't answered, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yeah. Is there, what's the best way to contact you? We'll push it up on the screen. What's the best way to get to you if we have any questions, your email or?
Probably just KrisL@KrisLindahl.com. KrisL@KrisLindahl.com, or you could send me a Facebook message or Snapchat. My Snapchat username is Kris Lindahl. You can add me on there. And
yeah, you're not. It's not too hard to find you. That's for sure.
No, that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Guys, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Thanks, Kris. We're going to come back with, next time we do a show with something else, we'll bring another topic to you. At least 10 nuggets I wrote down from Kris alone. We'll try and recap them here. If there's any questions or if we can help, let us know. Jeff Lobb here, Office Hours with Jeff. We'll see you next round. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Kris. See you, bud.